So first
I
off,
know nothing.
so
I don't
first,
vote. What? No. Actually, I make a point of voting.
so we'd like to ask your name and your rank of military or army. Or
Okay, John
service.
O'Sullivan and Lieutenant Colonel, United States Army.
And where have you lived throughout your service?
Let's see. Vietnam. Well, let's see. Fort Benning, Georgia. Vietnam. Fort Eustis, Virginia. Fort Rucker, Alabama. Did I say Vietnam?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Iran. I was in Iran at the fall of the Shah. Davison Army Airfield, Fort Belvoir. Both before and after the Iranian tour. Then the Pentagon, then Korea, then Fort Sheridan, Illinois, then the Pentagon, then Columbus, Ohio, and then I ended it up at Fort Belvoir.
So
I think I didn't leave anything out. I left some schools out.
So throughout your service, what political party have you affiliated yourself with?
Well, once upon a time I used to be a Democrat, but the Democratic Party abandoned me. So I'm a Republican. Well, you don't register in Virginia, but I haven't voted for a Democrat lately.
So since you mentioned Republican, what do you think of Donald Trump running for president?
I think he's a blowhard. My daughter thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread. She goes to rallies and all that. I don't have warm and fuzzy feelings about a guy that's so full of himself being president. So I think we have one of those right now, so we don't need another one.
Exactly.
The one now isn't quite as bombastic.
So we've divided the question actually just for you. So how did the governments in the other countries that you have visited compare to our government?
There's no comparison. There's only one number one right here. The others are war imitations, and that includes Germany. I was never stationed in Germany, but I spent a little time there, and I knew a lot of people that were assigned there, and they'd all tell you the same thing. They're all just cheap imitations. They sound good, but then, like you can't pay your phone bill unless you go to the post office to pay it in person. That's Germany today. That's not 100 years ago. The government says you pay your phone bill in the post office, and that's it.
So how do you think that military life compared to a normal life?
I think it was a hoot.
It was a hoot.
It was a hoot. I loved it. I remember I was an aviator. I was an infantryman first, and then I was an aviator. And I remember taking off one time in a U-20, not a U-21, a C-12, which is a Beech King Air. A high-performance turboprop. And we were cruising along, and my co-pilot was munching on a Three Musketeers bar that he'd frozen over by the co-pilot's access window. And I was the pilot, but George, the automatic pilot, was flying, and we were just sort of, and I'm sipping, what do you think I was sipping?
Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. and he's eating his bar. We're just sort of sitting there, talking to approach control and ATC and so forth. And I looked over, and it was Garrett Ure was the guy I was flying with. He was a CW4. And I said, Garrett, can you believe they pay us extra to do this? He said, wow. He said, this is great until you crash. I said, well, there's got to be, you got to have some justification. So those guys that are out there killing themselves, hey guys, keep at it, because it's $800 a month. So that's what they paid us. But it was fun. It was really great fun. A couple of times there in Vietnam, it wasn't much fun. And that was with the infantry as an advisor, and then in Iran, it really wasn't. If you ask me when I was scared the most, because you're always scared in combat, but like after the first 10 seconds, I got over it. Some people don't. You hear all these stories. Well, the first time you get shot at, like somebody's trying to kill me, and then I would get pissed off and forget about being scared because I had other things to do. But when we were in Iran, we were literally hiding out in quarters that had been abandoned by the Northrop Company by Khatami Air Base after we'd been evacuated. And we got word from our friendly Iranians that there were bands of, I guess, renegade Revolutionary Guards looking to kill Americans. And they came into our compound. And there were no lights, so that wasn't the, so we're like hiding out from these guys. And like I had 3 warrant officers, this one guy came in the building we were in, and we were hiding. And I mean, they were looking, but they weren't looking because they didn't open closet. Where do you think we were? We were in the closets. They never opened a closet door. But our guys are looking out, and I had this one guy, Hal Cox, and he wanted to go out. And he says, "Sir, let me go. I can break this MF's neck in one swoop." And I said, "Yeah, get us all killed." Shut up. And the guy left. And after about, but we were like, sphincter muscles very tight. We had no guns. We had nothing to defend ourselves. At least in the other scenario, I had a weapon, but we had nothing to defend ourselves. They had the guns. And, we had, one guy had a pellet rifle that he brought over because you couldn't bring a real firearm, so he just wanted, for pinking around. So he had, and the colonel told him, lose that friggin', because it looked like a shotgun, if you didn't know. And we didn't want anybody to get killed because somebody took him out because he had a Daisy pellet rifle. So we got rid of it. But that's all we had. That was our line of defense, thanks to Jimmy Carter and his administration. And we were staying there to advise people, except the people that we were supposed to be advising, they were taking up on roofs and shooting them. That really makes you feel good when the guy who told you that before a hair on an American's head is touched, he would die. And there he is on the front page of the Tehran newspaper on a slab, all the hell shot up by a firing squad. I said, this isn't looking good for, I had hair then, for the few remaining hairs up here, but eventually they did get us out. It was unbelievable. They didn't have any idea where we were. We were getting calls from unknown people, obviously Americans, and we said, and we knew they were either in Turkey or in Saudi Arabia. So, we asked the wide open question, are the winds blowing on the top of the hills, or is it the desert sand blowing? And they said, oh no, it's very cold up here, so we knew it was Turkey. Yeah. That's where in fact it was. So we told them where we were, so I guess they were talking about getting extraction teams in to get us out, but it never came to that, thank God. We did get out, thanks to a agreement with the Ayatollah's people, so we got a safe escort. And then when we got up to Tehran, we were in Isfahan, which is like Washington to New York, about 250 miles. When we got up to Tehran, every street you went down was controlled by a different, they called it a committee. And they were all like banditos. And they got on the bus and looked mean at us. And yeah, exactly. And then when we finally got out, when we got to the airport, guess who was guarding the airport? The PLO. Oh. So you can imagine they really loved Americans, so. Yep. And they took everybody's property, and you know what the guys from the embassy told us? Just let them take it. Guys had bought rugs, Persian rugs, take home to mom. Little ones, obviously, not a 9 by 12, more like a 2 by 3. And they were seizing them because we were stealing the treasures of Iran, even though we paid, pretty expensive price for them. Fortunately, I didn't do that. I bought my rug and sent it home long before the trouble got in. But we just got on the plane. Finally, we took off, and when it was a volunteer crew